Oh, you'll do a great job.
It's yeah, it's just a
As long
strange
as
day.
it's you and not us.
No, I'm good. Okay. Good evening and welcome to the June 9th City of Florence Planning Commission. I call to order this meeting, and we're doing this, of course, via Zoom conference. And I'm going to ask everybody to bear with me just a little bit. This is the first time I've ever done this. It's a little bit awkward for me, but I'm looking forward to the challenge, and we'll get through it. So, with that, I want to welcome all the other commissioners who are participating via the internet. And as we begin the meeting, all the packets have been distributed, which included the minutes from the previous meeting. All the commissioners have been given those and had opportunity to review them. And so, with that, I would call for a motion to approve the minutes.
So move.
All right, Mr. It's hard for me to see who.
Cool.
Mr. Bacote, thank you. Sorry about that. Mr. Bacote, I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Howard, give us uh, uh, seconds the motion. With that, the minutes are approved as submitted. We will move to our first agenda item, which is PC 2020-15, has been deferred. I guess the applicant made that request to defer.
Yes, that's correct, Derek. The city's the applicant on that one.
Okay.
And I would like to speak. I can either speak now briefly to it.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. What that is that's an amendment proposed for the Unified Development Code to allow the uses of microbreweries, microdistilleries, and brew pubs. As many of you know that have been to other municipalities and around the state and around the country even, these uses are quite popular and are, a very important component to urban areas. And as such, we can currently allow those uses, but we've allowed them under, I guess, the criteria of being functionally similar to either a bar or a restaurant or a light industrial use. But we felt it was important to define them a little more in the code, where they could be placed, and also put in place some conditional requirements for those type uses, because some of them act more like a microbrewery would act more like an industrial use, and whereas a brew pub would operate more like a restaurant or a bar. So we thought it was important to put that in the ordinance, define them, and figure out which zoning districts each use belonged in. So we're working on that, and we found state law to be a little more complicated than what we thought, and we're trying to sync our code up with state law,
Right.
so we just need a little bit more time on that.
Okay. Do any of the commissioners have any questions for Mr. Dudley on this issue?
No.
No question.
Okay?
I was curious, if you don't mind, about one thing. We've had some uses that fit this particular,
We have.
downtown maybe. We're like what was it?
Locomotive.
Locomotive.
That's
yeah.
right. And Southern Hops, which is just outside city limits, but could easily be inside city limits,
Right.
is a similar use. And Seminar Brewing, which is, again, outside city limits, but a use of that nature could pop
Right.
up in the city. And like I said, we do have a mechanism to allow it. We just wanted things to be a little more clear in the code.
Okay. Well, thank you for that, Mr. Dudley. With that, I guess we can move to the next agenda item, which is PC 2020-16. It's a request for a sketch plan review of a residential development on Third Loop Road. Tax map ID number is 15110-01-110. And Mr. Derrick, you can give us a staff report.
Yes, sir. Good evening, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen for the PowerPoint. Just let me catch up real fast. All right, so this is for a sketch plan approval for Encino Townhomes. Here's the proposed parcel. It's about 1.4 acres. It's the corner of Third Loop Road and Encino Drive. The current zoning map is currently zoned NC 6.3, which is neighborhood conservation. And the future land use is commercial auto urban, but as I said, it is residentially zoned currently. Here is the latest sketch plan. The applicant, Gary Finkley, provided this to us earlier today. The change being a shift in the parcel lines, and also each separate parcel has to have 2,400 square feet by the Unified Development Ordinance. So that can include what's actually on the parcel and the total common space of the development divided by how many units you have. So in theory, each resident or each owner will have at least 2,400 square feet per lot. So as I said, the development tract is 1.4 acres total. You have 2 different buildings that are 8 townhome units each. So you'll have 16 townhomes total. And currently this sketch plan doesn't meet the requirements of the Unified Development Ordinance 1-2.8.2 and Table 2-4.1.3. And those just point out that you need the 16-foot minimum lot widths per parcel, the prescribed setbacks, and this does obey the prescribed setbacks. And as I said, each parcel has to have 2,400 square feet, which this plan does, and it shows that in the calculations with the common space. For townhome development, as I said, all units must be established on a single parcel, so arranged to ensure public access. And each townhouse unit may be initially established on one separate parcel. So as they are right now, they're one separate parcel, but the developer just has to show that in the future, if they would like to sell these off, that dividing them up would still meet the minimum requirements. So that's what's shown here. And this sketch plan does show the ability to subdivide based on Unified Development Ordinance guidelines.
Okay.
And as I said, the sketch plan currently is in compliance with the Unified Development Ordinance. And if the Planning Commission decides to approve the sketch plan tonight, the applicant will still have to submit a development plan that will also have to follow Unified Development Ordinance guidelines.
And that would be just an approval by city staff, right?
Yeah, so the city staff will come in with a statement of compliance, and we are giving our statement of compliance for the sketch plan. And then if Planning Commission approves, then the applicant can move to the development plan, which is just a much more detailed set of plans for construction.
Mm-hmm.
And the applicant, Mr. Gary Finkley, is here, and that concludes staff's report.
Okay.
So I'll stop sharing my screen.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Are there any questions from any commissioners for staff?
No. No.
Okay.
No.
No.
With that, I will open the public. Do we have public hearing? Oh, yeah, we have public hearing. Public hearing portion.
No, we don't. No.
Okay, I didn't think so. All right. Well, I guess with that, we would call for a motion. Do I have a motion?
Move we approve.
All right, motion to approve from Mr. Howard. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, I have a second. Was that Miss Gregg?
Great. Yeah.
Okay, have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor, let it be known by a raise of hands for those who are visible on the screen and a verbal by those who are connected by telephone.
Okay. For Ms. Gregg.
Ms. Gregg, you approve?
Yes.
Ms. Hines?
Yes.
Okay, so it's unanimous. The motion carries. So sketch plan's approved.
Yeah.
And I guess, Mr. Dudley, you had something you want to talk about briefly before we adjourn. Is that
Well,
right?
I think I talked about the proposed amendment regarding microbreweries,
Okay.
but also just of note that I had a little mini discussion, with some of the members of Planning Commission ahead of this meeting and regarding the COVID-19 situation and future meetings as to whether they'll be via Zoom or via a regular traditional meeting. I think we'll play it by ear and make that call closer to time and may formulate a little group out of Planning Commission to help us decide that. So
Okay.
Okay.
look for some input closer to time.
All right, is
Mr.
there
Chairman,
anything-
All right.
Yes, sir.
this is Gary Fink. I just want to thank everyone for coming and attending this way so we could keep things going. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, sir. We appreciate that as well.
you.
Is there anything from the commissioners for staff or any old or new business that anybody like to bring forward before we close or adjourn?
Mm-mm.
I'm gonna take that as a unanimous no. And so we're calling for a motion to adjourn. I have a motion to adjourn.
So move.
So move.
All right,
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, meeting is adjourned. Thank you guys for.
Thank you.
attending.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.